This is Scott Gordon coming to you from Core Video Executive Interview Video Series. We're here today with Ron Pickett, CEO of Solar Wind Energy Tower, a publicly traded company trading under the symbol SWET on the OTCQB. Solar Wind Energy Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Solar Wind Energy Tower Inc., is commercializing its patented solar wind downdrift tower structure that produces abundant, inexpensive electricity. The company's core objective and focus is to become a leading provider of clean, efficient, green energy to the world communities at a reasonable cost without the destructive residuals of fossil fuels, while continuing to generate innovative technology solutions for tomorrow's electrical power needs. Thank you for joining us today, Ron.
Thank you, Scott.
Ron, Solar Wind Energy describes its core objective and focus to become a leading provider of clean, efficient, green energy to the world communities at a reasonable cost without the destructive residuals of fossil fuels. Give us an overview of how the company achieves this. Tell us about the towers, your software, and how this all comes together.
That's right, Scott. I mean, everybody, probably everyone, wants to be green. We'd like to save the planet. We recycle. We like to conserve energy, water, electricity, but we don't like to pollute. And the problem is the cost of not polluting while making electricity is very expensive. So current alternative energy solutions, such as traditional wind or solar, happens to be very expensive. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but it's a challenge in this economic environment that we live in to be clean and to be frugal at the same time. So what we've done is we've created an alternative energy solution that is economically feasible, and it's competitive with traditional fossil fuel-fired facilities. And what we do is we build a tall tower. It's a hollow cylinder. It's not a complicated structure at all. It's located in hot, dry areas like southwestern Arizona, Southern California, northern Mexico, Mideast, Africa, India, Australia, lots of places where it's ideal for this tower. Across the top of the tower, we're introducing a measured droplet size of water at intervals that are consistent with what the current temperature and ambient humidity is in that particular area. Once this hot air comes in contact with the water, it must absorb it. It's thirsty. It can't refuse it. Once it does, it immediately becomes heavier and it starts to sink. As it sinks, it evaporates and then cools. As it cools, it gets colder, obviously, against the hot air, and it sinks even faster. So we're creating this natural downdraft, and we all know what that is. It's a thing that can slam an airplane into an airport at takeoff. It can blow down power lines during a thunderstorm. And we're housing this natural downdraft inside the tower. At the base of the tower, we're diverting this sideways, horizontally, into, in this case, 25 wind tunnels that surround the tower. Inside the wind tunnels, we have turbines. Those turbines spin, they drive generators, and they make electricity. And they do it in a very economical manner. And that's the key to this solution. That's what we're doing. Now, we have some integral parts of that set us aside from anybody else who might want to adopt this and compete with us. And that is core patents and IP that we've perfected. We've been 3.5 years developing this technique, the know-how, and we're going to be the company that enables these towers to be built all over the world. It could be sovereign nations that build them, utilities that build them, private developers that build them. But with our technique and our IP, we're going to bring this solution to the world.
Well, and you know, interestingly, you mentioned your patents. So the company's alternative energy solution and proprietary methodology are patented. Yet the company just announced filing a new patent entitled Atmospheric Energy Extraction Devices and Methods. What's new about this, and why is it important for the future?
Fine, thank you. This new patent is sort of an omnibus patent, Scott. We heretofore have perfected our core patents, and that is one, I mentioned these turbines that are in the tunnel. We have multiple turbines in this tunnel. It's a fact that a wind turbine can only extract a certain percentage of the energy, around 50%. It's actually 58.6 is the maximum amount of energy a turbine can extract from the wind. So we've designed our first turbine, to extract 50%. Well, in a tunnel, behind that turbine is a lot more wind, at least 50% that's coming through the turbine. So we have a patent on putting turbines in a row in this tunnel, if you will, drafting turbines. So our second turbine gets 50% of that 50%. The second part of that patent is that instead of our turbines spinning generators hooked to a gearbox like you see out in the field, those big fat things behind the turbine, those are generators. Instead of us having generators mounted on our turbines spin hydraulic pumps. And beside each one of our tunnels, each one of the 25 tunnels is a generating room, in this case in Arizona with 11 generators of different sizes in that room. So no matter how fast one or two turbines are spinning, no matter how much pressure they're creating, they're bringing on our generators at exactly the desired 1800 RPM to make the perfect amount, perfect size, 60 hertz of electricity to match with the grid. Those are core patents that work. We've also, that set us aside, we've also been issued a patent for the tower itself and the water injection system at the top. 6 months ago or so, we had a revolutionary advance made in the development of our technology. We came and teamed up with a company called Commonwealth Dynamics, and with them, we took a standard cooling tower design, which is that hyperbolic structure. Lots of people think when they see these, that's like a nuclear power plant. Well, it's really a cooling tower next to the nuclear power plant. Commonwealth Dynamics builds these all over the world. They've teamed up with us and kind of put the standard cooling tower on steroids for our tower. So we simply made it bigger and larger, the same thing, out of thin-walled concrete. And with that new hyperbolic structure and that thin-walled concrete structure combined now with our turbine design and our tunnel design, we filed a brand new patent that incorporates all of these known things before into like a super patent that protects what we're doing in the whole. And that patent we thoroughly expect to extend out when it's issued to the appropriate countries where the tower could be built and perform efficiently.
Outstanding. So the tower is able to produce electricity at under 7 cents while saving the planet at the same time. And the graphic I'm about to show points out the dramatic reduction in installed cost as well. Tell us more about this.
And Scott, this is the key. Again, we said early in the interview that our goal is to bring alternative energy, clean alternative energy to the market that's financially competitive. And I think that's the key to alternative energy solution today. Saving money, doing it at a competitive cost. Now, if you look at this chart, what the confusing thing is when you talk about traditional wind and traditional solar, and by the way, we're all for that. I'm 100% in favor of traditional wind, traditional solar where appropriate. That's a good thing to do. Nothing in this is meant to be critical of that part of the industry. But you have to get apples to apples together to find out what the cost is. And so what we've done is created this chart which shows the net amount of electricity in megawatt hours that you can actually sell to the grid in a 365-day period. Now, we all know wind blow makes energy when the wind blows. Solar makes it during the day, better on some days than other days. So it's not a truly a very good depictive description economically of what it costs when you say, well, we've got a 200 megawatt facility for wind or a 350 megawatt solar facility. That just means that in the best hour, it can do 350 megawatts or 200 megawatts. So you've got to really measure out what it does 24/7, 365. Now, our tower on this chart will produce, the one in Arizona, 4,380,000 megawatt hours of power over the 365 days a year. Now, if I were to build a solar or a wind facility, a wind farm, to make that much saleable power net to the grid, it would take 100,000 acres of wind farms and cost $5.3 billion approximately. That's compared to $1.5 billion all in for our facility on about 300 acres. Similarly, if I do the same thing in comparison for solar, it would take 10,000 acres of solar panels to produce this much saleable power in 365 days and cost about $5.7 estimated billion to build that compared to our 1.5. Again, on the life cycle, our facility is made of concrete. We just repair everything. We've got a 50-year life, and it's probably a lot longer than that versus 25 and 20 years on the other facilities where they have to be completely recharged. So there's all kinds of, just take a look at this chart, there's all kinds of comparisons that set us aside. But the most compelling one is that at $1.5 billion to produce that much electricity, we're less than a third the cost of alternative energy. Typically, 18 to 20 cents is what it costs to make power without government help. And our project can make power without government help for 7 cents a kilowatt hour, and probably better than that in certain parts of the world. And that includes our fees and our structure for our company. So that's what's exciting to me about it. It's not only green and clean, but it makes green.
Outstanding. Well, we certainly can't wait to hear more about the ongoing developments here. For all intents and purposes, appears to be the future of energy, and we're very excited to continue to have you update us in the future. That's all I have for you at this time, Ron. We've been speaking with Ron Pickett, CEO of Solar Wind Energy Tower, a publicly traded company trading under the symbol SWET. For more information on Solar Wind Energy Tower, please visit their website at solarwindenergytower.com.